Check it out. This is Distortion of Static. We're here with a very special guest. He calls himself a cultural critic. Why don't you introduce yourself?
My name is Bakari Kitwana. I'm the author of 3 books on hip-hop, The Rap on Gangsta Rap, The Hip-Hop Generation, and my new book, Why White Kids Love Hip-Hop.
Why don't you talk about your like a brief history, a brief timeline, how you got started into hip-hop, and how that translated into you becoming a writer?
I grew up in Long Island. My junior high school years were 78 and 79. I grew up listening to hip-hop. I went to school in Rochester, New York, about 6 hours out of New York City. Left Rochester, went to work in Chicago at Third World Press. That was where I really kind of started to thinking about us as a generation. I left Third World Press and I wrote my first book, The Rap on Gangsta Rap. Then I went to work at The Source. There, I started to kind of get a sense for a need to talk about hip-hop beyond just music. I wrote The Hip-Hop Generation that came out in 2002 after I left The Source. And then my latest book is Why White Kids Love Hip-Hop.
In this book, you make a line between the older generation and what you call the hip-hop generation. So can you briefly explain, why there's that segregation?
In the new book, I'm talking about the hip-hop generation, or what people call Generation X, people born between 1965 and 1984, and a younger generation of hip-hoppers, people born between 1985 and 2004. I'm making some distinctions because that younger generation of hip-hoppers, they're coming of age with hip-hop already established as a mainstream cultural phenomenon, which is radically different. This is a generation of young people that we're dealing with now, for many of whom they're being told by corporate America what hip-hop is. When people in the generation I grew up with hip-hop, you had to live hip-hop to know what it was.
In San Francisco and the West Coast, in my experiences, the underground hip-hop culture is very integrated. It's very multicultural. Yet on commercial radio and on MTV, a lot of the MCs are predominantly black. And, of course, a lot of the images are negative. Why do you think that is?
I think this is typical of corporate America. Corporate America sticks with a formula that works. And the philosophy is, why fix it if it's not broke? If they can sell 4 million CDs in a few months, why are they going to tinker with it? I think that it's a formula. The formula works just like having Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. Why have a Spider-Man 2? Because you already got an audience. You don't have to create it again. I think that there are people working in positions of power and A&R positions that may have been creative when they first got the gig, but have no clue as to what is cutting edge anymore. And they don't know who to go to. They want to keep their little cozy job. And so, I think that all those dynamics come to play.
Just let the people out there know, where could they get your books? Where could they read your material? Websites to promote anything like that? BakariKitwana.com.
The material is available pretty much everywhere. It's at Amazon.com. It's BasicCivitas.com, which is my publisher. You can get the stuff in Borders, Barnes & Noble. It's pretty much everywhere.
I'm sure people are going to read the book. They're going to want to get at you. I'm sure you can leave an email or a voicemail or something.
BAKHANNKRU@AOL.com. But you can get that information, my phone number, etc., is all on my website, BakariKitwana.com. Thank you.